WVUA-FM, Tuscaloosa.
Hello, everybody. This is WVUA 90.7 FM, The Capstone, and welcome to episode number 11 of the Full Court Press podcast. My name is Jamie Martinez, and I'm joined by Alex Chasen and Nick Atkinson. On today's episode, look forward to league news and our personal power rankings. We hope you enjoyed our last episode. Now, let's get into it.
Get right into it. And we're on Zoom for the first podcast. How's it feel?
Kind of weird, low key, but it's all right. It's all right.
It's not the same as sitting next to you, beautiful faces, in person where I can see you guys. But I mean, we're going to roll with it. This is what we're doing. We're grinding it out, and we're going to keep it going. How's Morro Bay? Jamie, how's the family?
As beautiful as ever, We're just, chillaxing. I've been home alone a lot because my parents have work and siblings are still in school. So that changes today pretty much. My brother just got out of surgery. Got to take care of him. We're keeping it rolling, though.
Keeping it rolling. How's the wrist? Let's see it.
Oh, I don't even have my cast on. I forgot I didn't have it on right now. But yeah, no, it's chilling.
Throwing any balls lately?
I've been playing basketball. I've been playing a lot of basketball. I actually beat my brother yesterday in a game of play it where it lands. So
Sore?
I was hitting some jump shots.
Is it sore at all?
It's sore a little bit, especially when I pick up certain things. But I get over it.
How about Greenville, South Carolina? How's it going?
I mean, I haven't really done nothing. My mom's been in surgery, so me and my aunt, or she got out of surgery, recovering. So me and my aunt have just been just chilling in the house. So
how's she doing?
She good. She getting better.
That's good. Both of you guys have someone with surgery. I don't think anyone in my family is having surgery right now, but 2 for 3 on surgery, I guess.
How's Massachusetts been, man?
It's been good. It's cold. A high of I think 37 degrees today. So the winter is here. It snowed the third day I was here, so the winter is here, and it's not leaving anytime soon, but I'm leaving sometime soon. I'm leaving in, a month, so go back down to Bama with you boys where it's a little warmer. So I'm excited.
Definitely.
I'm loving it.
What'd you say the temp was?
There was a high, let me check my phone real quick. Right now it's 33, and there was a high of 37 today.
It's 40 here right now.
Yeah, so similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 65 and sunny.
Yeah, I know it's about to be hot, way hotter there.
Feels great over here.
Yeah, so at 5:30 this morning, it was 20 degrees outside. But the wind, the 20 degrees by itself isn't terrible. It sucks, but it's not terrible. But it's the wind that just murders me.
Mm-hmm.
But
the chill factor.
I can start my car from inside. So when I go to my car, it's a little warmer than outside, which helps.
Yeah.
I know your BMW has that, Nick.
Yeah, it does.
Automatic start. All right, let's jump into some of the NBA news. LeBron James, as always, he is 795 points away from Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's ticking down. He had another 30-point performance last night against my Boston Celtics, but we came out on top. No biggie, the usual. Most of the time, we're coming out on top. Another record, LeBron James passes Wilt Chamberlain for second most 30-point games in NBA history. He now only trails Michael Jordan. This is just another stat, as we talked about last week. This is just another stat. LeBron James, another accolade, another thing to put on his GOAT status. Another thing for LeBron James. He keeps climbing up, and we all know he's going to beat Michael Jordan. Me and Nick are on the same wavelength with this.
Yep.
Just stop shaking your head. LeBron James coming for Mikey. He's coming for Mikey. Jumping into some sad news, former player and coach, Paul Silas, father of Rockets current head coach Stephen Silas, passed away this past Saturday, December 10th, from cardiac arrest. Very sad news that came out this past Saturday. He was he was on 2 Celtics championships teams, a Supersonics team. I believe as a coach, he was a Supersonics. He was a coach of Supersonics. Overall, great player, but even a better coach. And really sad news to the NBA community. And our condolences go out to the Silas family. And it's crazy. I saw a video of Monty Williams. They actually lost the Rockets last night, but Monty Williams was giving up Stephen Silas, obviously Paul's son. Paul's son a hug and giving in, his condolences and all that. That was a heartfelt moment. But what do you guys think?
They said a prayer together. I thought that was very touching. They embraced in a very long hug. They said a prayer. I think that's one of the coolest things that I've personally seen in the NBA in a very long time. So shout out Monty Williams for that. He's not a sore loser. It's what you love to see.
Yeah, I agree. The Suns, yeah. I don't know. That's crazy.
We'll jump into that one in a little bit, but this is, very interesting. Jumping into the new names for NBA awards, plus one new award. We'll start off here with the MVP. I'm just giving Jamie more ammunition with this one, but it's called the LeBron James. No, it's called the Michael Jordan Trophy. The MVP is now called the Michael Jordan Trophy. Very boring, but
I agree.
It's real.
Personally, I think it should be the Kareem Award in the finals. The finals MVP. I feel like Bill Russell deserves that, but that could be more of like a Jordan reward to an extent. You know what I'm saying? Because he won 6 finals MVPs. Nobody else on his team ever won one. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like it's only fair to give the MVP to the greatest player of all time. So it is what it is. It's not the LeBron trophy.
Yeah, whatever. It's all retired players anyway. But the Depoy, the Hakeem Olajuwon trophy, I like that one. That one makes sense.
Yeah, that's fitting.
That's unanimously fitting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think 6th man of the year though. I'm not a big fan of the Havlicek.
Why is that not Jamal Crawford?
I don't think it should be Jamal Crawford either. I think it should be Manu Ginobili.
Okay, I can see that.
Manu. I like Manu.
I think Manu should be the one. Shout out my journalism teacher, Mr. Mamarella. It's his favorite player of all time. But Manu, in my eyes, is the greatest 6th man ever.
Really?
I watched his highlight tape the other day. It was insane.
I got to give it to Jamal as the best 6th man.
I think it could be Lou Williams, too.
Yeah. As far as just effective, scoring off the bench is definitely Lou Will, but I feel like Jamal Crawford, he was just the most flashy guy to ever come off the bench. He could cross you up 3 or 4 times coming down the court.
That's fair, but Manu was an all-star as a 6th man.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely the best 6th man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Rookie of the year, the Wilt Chamberlain Award.
It should be the Ben Simmons Award. He got 3 Rookie of the Years.
Yeah, he got 3. I saw a TikTok about that actually. It was renaming them all just dumb things, like the Ben Simmons trophy. I thought that was pretty funny. Most improved is the George Mikan trophy.
I'm not really here to diss that. We weren't alive to see his
I only know
highlights.
the Mikan throw where you go take layups on both sides of the
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was thinking more it could be somebody that was like a Draymond Green would fit it. He was nothing when he came into the league, and then he is what he is now.
I just don't think they're going to name it after current players.
Somebody, that's what I'm saying. Maybe a Ben Wallace or something. But.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And then the new award, titled New Clutch Player of the Year, the Jerry West Trophy. I feel like that award's just kind of,
it's just an award to give somebody, but
yeah, right. It's just another thing to give someone, and then also it's just very opinionated. They all are, but this one's I feel like the most opinionated. How are you gonna? I feel like it's probably gonna be Luka Doncic.
I think it's gonna be Dame just because of how people are. But I added Jamie. I said it's got to be De'Aaron Fox. It has to be De'Aaron Fox. The most clutch shots this season. It has to be De'Aaron.
Highest percentage, highest 3-point percentage.
It has to be De'Aaron Fox. It has to be.
I just don't know about the Jerry West trophy. Only because he's already the logo. I think it would have been cool to give it to somebody else. Kobe is already the All-Star MVP.
Oh, maybe T-Mac? I don't know. Who
T-Mac.
Joe Johnson, it might be one of the most clutch players of all time.
Maybe, but I feel like they got to give it to somebody more notable than Joe Johnson. I just think Jerry West, they could have done something else. He's already the logo, so I'm sure there's somebody out there.
Yeah, but now you say this, so they're probably going to do it based off statistics, I guess.
Well, if that's the case,
on the NBA, then
I think Kobe has the most all time.
I'm talking about for the who gets the award this year.
Might.
Oh, yeah.
Because you guys were saying Fox.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's got to be Fox, but
we shall see.
Yeah.
Cunningham out for the rest of the season. Talk about some sad news.
Hate to see it.
Cade Cunningham to have season-ending surgery on his left shin. I wasn't even really too aware about this. I know we mentioned this in the past that he was going to be out for a little bit, but last month, rehabbing his injured left shin. It's been bothering him since the preseason. However, the second-year Pistons guard has decided that it is best to undergo season-ending surgery, per Mike Curtis of the Detroit News. He injured this actually since 17 games since the Celtics on November 9th, so it's been a while, well over a month. And this is going to reflect in our power rankings coming up in a few minutes here. But
yeah, I believe so.
The Pistons, they were already bad to begin with, but they have great young talent. Give them a few years, they're going to be a top team in this league. But right now,
100%.
It just even knocks their chances of even getting paid viewership. So
no, they're not getting anything out of this.
It's not really helping them out. But, They have a
I
bright
think it's positive for Ivy, but I mean,
Yeah,
That's
just on
about
a
it.
whole team standpoint of like fans, income, or any chance to even scratching a play in, which they weren't. This just kills all of that, in my opinion.
yeah.
Mhm.
DeJounte Murray, all-star guard for the Atlanta Hawks, to miss just a couple weeks with a left ankle sprain. Nothing major on that standpoint. But now this means Murray, John Collins, and DeAndre Hunter are all sidelined for a couple weeks. But still, a couple weeks is too much for this team right now. They are kind
Yeah,
of
it is.
out of control with, office issues with like Trae Young.
And Nate.
Yeah, thank you, Nick McMillan. Just an overall, everything's kind of spiraling out of control. Since we've honestly seen him, I think it's our fault. Since we went to the ATL, I think it's our fault. But seriously, just a couple weeks, nothing major, but not what they need right now.
Yeah.
LaMelo Ball's returning tonight after missing a month due to a sprained ankle that he twisted on a fan. And before that, he didn't even play the beginning of the season because he was rehabbing from, I believe it was an ankle injury as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His ankles are Steph Curry's ankles. He needs to get on Steph Curry's his ankle program and his ankle brace program because he keeps getting hurt with his ankles, and he's too good, too valuable to this Hornets roster to not be on. Probably the biggest news of all, Stanley Johnson. I'm kidding, by the way. Stanley Johnson signs with the Spurs. Was that a 1-year deal, Nick?
Yeah, 1 year. Like, just a vet minimum.
I'm surprised it's not like just a 10-day contract, but a 1-year minimum. And I mean, hey, he can help this team lose games.
Veteran presence, I guess. But, I mean, I'm surprised he hasn't gotten picked up. He played really good for the Lakers last year. He was kind of like what Lonnie Walker is doing now a little bit, just a really good presence off the bench. And Lonnie starts a little bit now, but, like as far as defense and shooting the ball, Stanley Johnson's really good at that. I mean, like, and picking a team up from, being down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can see that, but he's never really panned out to, what was he, a lottery pick?
Oh, no, he was like a lottery pick for the Pistons.
Yeah. And then, Nick, this is all yours here. Take the floor. He thinks Westbrook will get traded ASAP. The trade market opens up tomorrow being Thursday, December 15th. And Nick thinks he's out the door in the next 48 hours. Tell us why.
So it's been kind of like, the Lakers, they've been getting better. I think what we said, like 9 out of the last 15, they've won the games, But I think, they've been in he's been in that trade rumor for the last, a year. So I don't know. I feel like it is going to happen, either him or Pat Bev, because you can't have a 4-point guard rotation, it just doesn't work. So I think Russell will either get traded to like the Pacers and get bought out. And I think there's some teams that would be interested in him, would being the Heat and the Wizards, but I don't think that the Heat benefit from that at all. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, not at all.
There's no shooting.
I mean, they have shooters, but they're not really shooting well right now.
Yeah,
not at all.
The Wizards will be okay.
Mix a little.
Yeah,
Wizards will be nice because who's their starting point guard right now? Morris.
Yeah, and he's a backup point.
Yeah,
he's a great 6 man, but he shouldn't really be starting.
Yeah, but me and Jamie, I mean, all of us were kind of thinking, if he got like bought out and went to the Pelicans, that would make them even more like better than they already are.
I'll make a believe.
That's what they're missing. Playmaker.
Because they got CJ running the point right now. Jose Grand Theft Alvarado, he's really good, but he is like that like a unit.
He's not a playmaker though. He's
just a defender.
Shooter. Yeah, I mean, their last real great playmaker was Lonzo Ball, and so I mean, to get
should not have let him go.
No, they shouldn't have. But I mean, if you get Westbrook, that brings imagine the lobs to Zion.
And like his defense has gotten really. I've been really impressed with his defense this season. I've watched him for the last 11 years, but this has definitely been one of his best defensive years since prime OKC.
Yeah, I mean, something that Westbrook's always lacked is what you say, shooters, and Pelicans have that. Ingram, Herb Jones, Alvarado,
Trey Murphy,
Trey Murphy, and then you have your dunkers. You have Valanciunas down low. I mean, it's just a perfect fit for him.
And he can stretch the floor too. Valanciunas.
Yeah, I just think the Pelicans would benefit all around from it.
Yeah,
I completely agree. Ready to get into our rankings?
Yep.
Get it.
All right.
I'll start with number 30. I got the Pistons. As we discussed before, Cade's out. And they're the worst team in the NBA by record. I think young talent-wise, though, they're, right up there with the Rockets and, those other teams that just have really good talent. But I don't know. I mean, I guess just continue to tank for Victor. Now that really opens a window up for that, and you can really just bank on, tanking for him.
Do they even need him though? I mean, they have.
I don't know. They have so
I
many big
would.
men. They have such a complete roster. I think you need to kind of
Time.
pull a Celtics and trade back. You know what I'm saying? Maybe get like somebody that would maybe like a Davion Mitchell type of role. Somebody that could come off your bench.
Yeah, I can see that. At 30, I also got the Pistons. I did have another team there. They're actually at 29 now. We'll get to that one in a second. But I had to switch them just based off the Cade news. This really squashes any chance for them to even be talked about in NBA circles. I know they have Ivy and all these other young players that are going to, get great minutes and just keep progressing. But for real, like the average fan, no one cares about them anymore. They're not going to want to be watched. And they have one of the worst defenses in the league, second worst defense in the league, excuse me. They give up the third most points. This team wasn't good to begin with. They rank at the bottom of my power rankings. There's not too much. They have a great coach, great young talent. Just got to give them time. But right now, not really for them.
Yeah.
Completely agreed. Number 30, I have the Pistons. No Cade Cunningham. That's their young star, their future, really. He was averaging 20 a game, 26 and 6. So losing that when you're already so bad is, it's not going to help you whatsoever. And with the trade deadline coming up, I could honestly see somebody like Isaiah Stewart or Sadiq Bey getting traded. They're so bad. I feel like they're number one in the Wembanyama sweepstakes now. And so, a big three of Cade, Ivy, and Wembanyama.
And Jalen Duren would be
that's gross.
Crazy.
That's what I was trying to think of. Jalen Duren, yeah. And they could
gross.
Get off Bogdanovich big money for whatever reason. And like you were saying earlier, the Lakers could take him.
Yeah, that would be the Lakers actually are in talks with the Pistons now. Bev and Nunn in the first round pick for Bogdanovich. But if the Lakers do that, it just shows how much of a stupid management it is trading for a 34-year-old on a $15 million contract.
He's playing well, but that's
but at 34, bro, on a 3-year
that's already
deal,
an old roster too.
Yeah,
so it doesn't help.
I agree.
So for my 29, I got the Hornets. LaMelo's coming back. I think that kind of could elevate them a little bit. Terry Rozier, I really liked how he's been playing recently. I think he just hit the 1,000 mark for three-pointers made, I'm pretty sure. He's really improved since, he was in Boston with three-pointers, But I think, they just need to focus on playing like Mark Williams and some of those younger guys. I don't know why they've not been getting minutes this season.
Shout out my roommate, Tommy. He could go on for hours about why they don't play their young players. Or they should be playing their young players. It really pisses him off. At 29, I got the Wizards. A little bit different. They're 11-17, the 12th seed in the East. And they're on a 7-game losing streak. They're 1-9 of their last 10. And this is despite Beal, KP, and Kuz all averaging over 20 points a game. I didn't realize Kuzma was having a all-star level year.
He is.
Not quite an all-star level year, but he could be mentioned. We didn't even mention him a few weeks ago because he's really turned it up in the past couple of weeks.
Starter.
And the thing is, they're only losing by around, their differentials around negative 2.5. So they're averaging around 110 points a game, and they're giving up 112 points a game. So they're right in all these games. They're right there. They just have no help after Kuzma, KP, and Beal. Yeah, they have guys like Monte Morris,
Gafford,
Will Barton, Gafford, who can help, but no one's after them. Everyone's averaging around under 10 points a game, and they just need to start scoring off the bench and just a little bit better defense. And they could move, but they're just so close, but so far at the same time.
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. Despite that, I still have the Hornets at 29. Another very bad roster. You have LaMelo Ball coming back, but with the ankle issues, we don't know how he's going to come back, if he's going to be the same. No Miles Bridges again. This is just a very poorly built roster. You're sitting your young guys, which, as we said, Tommy, he can go on forever about that. So, management's just not good. The players aren't great either. Nobody's really consistent. So we'll see what LaMelo Ball can do. I just don't think there's enough help there for him.
Yeah, I agree. I got the Spurs, who are currently 14th in the West. I feel like a lot of people were kind of counting them out as far as like a future team because they're like nobody really knew who Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell were as far as like, a young up and coming talent. But them two have been so good this season. They've been able to keep up with good teams. And I think they beat the the Clippers the other night or something like that. I forgot who it was. Keldon Johnson had like a chase down block and all kinds of stuff. And I don't know. I'm really high on them in the future, but just now it's not the time.
I completely agree. I also have them at 28. They beat the Rocket. They've won 3 in a row, beating the Rockets, the Heat, and maybe you're thinking of the Cavs. I'm not sure about. I don't.
Yeah, Cavs. You got
Cavs beating them 112 to 111. So a very close game. And if Spurs are in close games, they've been winning them, but those 18 losses, they have not been close games at all. They're giving up 120 points a game while only averaging 110 points a game, with a negative 10 differential, which makes that the worst in the league. So like I said, if they're in the game, they have those 9 wins for a reason if they're in the game. But most of the time they're not in the game because, like you said, they have Keldon Johnson and then Devin Vassell. After that, they have other good young pieces there. They should trade Jakob Poeltl. They're another team that fell off to get a little bit worse, especially Jakob Poeltl, who could be a really good fit for even like a Lakers roster or even like a contending team like the Celtics, which I don't want, but I know you mentioned that in the past. But
yeah.
They're in a tough spot, but they do have some good they have a young core for the future.
Mm-hmm. Much like Nick, I have the Spurs up next. It's just not a great roster. Like the differentials. It's just not a great team. Yeah, they're on a 3-game winning streak. But they were up on the Cavs. They were up 19 on the Cavs at one point, late in the third. Cavs come back. They ended up holding on, but that's just not a good look, letting a team come back down by that much.
Yeah.
So, again, I think that's why they're just not a great team. They kind of got away with a fluky win. They should have lost. I think there will be more of that to come. It's just not a great team. Another team in the Wembanyama sweepstakes. We'll see how good they do. You have Pop, but I don't see it.
I agree.
Yeah, just a little too early. But I got the Rockets, same exact record as the Spurs. But I feel like that what elevates them a little bit is, KPJ has been having like such a great season, and I feel like he should be in the MIP conversation. Of course, it's not leading to wins, but they're trying to kind of sink down a little bit. I feel like this is his landing spot for Brandon Miller. I feel like this is where he will go because they're not going to be a top 3 team in the lottery. They're just like they're too good to do that. I feel like they're going to get more wins as the season goes on, as some teams are going to continue to fold. So I don't know. I feel like they'll get around the 6 or 7 spot, which I think is good for them. Get somebody like Brandon Miller,
someone who's league ready.
Yeah,
that's not like a top 3 pick.
Yeah,
27. I have the Hornets. So you guys had them a little worse. I have them a little better, not by much, just like 1 or 2 spots. But they're 7-20, not good at all. 14 seed in the East. They've lost 5 straight games, 3-7 of their last 10. They rank 24th defensively, giving up 116 points a game, and 27th offensively. They do nothing well. They also don't coach well. They're playing, old guys like Mason Plumlee. Gordon Hayward's hurt. He should just keep him out. Mason Plumlee sucks.
He's the worst player I've ever seen.
He's the worst center in the league. The worst starting center.
Why not play a former Duke superstar and Mark Williams, who has potential, but no, they don't play him. Or all these other guys like Kai Jones. I could go to Book Knight. They don't play any of these guys.
What's his name? Nick Richards, too.
Nick Richards.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's a little older. I think he's around 24, 25. But he plays well when he's on the court. But they just, they're too focused on trying to win a game. But even when they put old guys in who are maybe a little better right now, they don't win. You mentioned earlier, Nick, Terry Rozier's on a tear. He's averaging around 25 points a game so far in December. He's their only bright spot. Yes, LaMelo's coming back tonight, but he's been injury-prone so far. But right now, this is Terry Rozier's team. But again,
yeah, it is.
Terry Rozier's your superstar. I love you, T-Row, Scary Terry, but that's not going to cut it.
Yeah.
All right, next up, I got the Houston Rockets. This is just such a well-built team, which is so weird to say because they have 9 wins. You have Jalen Green, who I thought was going to be a top 5 shooting guard. He's not. KPJ, again, he's balling out, most improved candidate. You have Jabari Smith, who's underperformed to an extent. He's still averaging 13 points a game, shooting 50% from the field and 52% from 3. That's a big man.
That's great.
That's really solid. But, I mean, he's underperforming to an extent. He's not doing as much as we thought he'd do. A lot of people thought he would be the first overall pick. He's not playing like he would have been. And then Alperen Sengun, he's having a good year too as a backup center. We all saw that poster that got called back. That was insane. But again, it's so weird to say that this is such a young, solid roster and they're so bad. And I don't really want to blame Coach Silas because I know he's young, he's good, but I think to an extent they might actually be trying to tank for Wembanyama because I think this is a much better team than their record states.
Yeah, they are for sure. I got the Magic next up. They've been okay this season. I feel like they're gonna be a big what's it called? They're just going to be like a big team in the trade window here. They got guys like Terrence Ross and Gary Harris on very affordable deals. So I feel like you throw like a pick or two of them, you can get both of them onto like a true contender. The Heat could use both of them. The Lakers could use them. The Warriors. So many contenders are missing players like them. So I feel like yeah. I mean, y'all could definitely use Gary Harris.
Ross has been there for a big minute.
I know. I really wanted him to get out of there. Last time that he was on a good team was like the 2016 Raptors.
He's been there for like a good 6 years. Crazy.
Yeah.
Imagine being like on the Magic for more than like 2 years.
Yeah, for real. He like wasted his prime.
He did. Up at 26, I also have the Magic. 8-20, 13th seed in the East. 3-game winning streak. Give props to them. They're 3-7 of their last 10. But this is Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero's team. They are looking like a scary duo, even right now. But when the wins start coming in the next year or two, they're going to be even a better duo together.
And Bol.
They're combining for over 46 points per game over their last 3 games in this winning streak. They rank 17th defensively, so not the worst for one of the worst teams in the league. It's just their offense. It's 28th in the league offensively besides our 2 stars. Everyone else kind of sucks. And Bol. My bad, Bol. He's a well offensive player as well. Not great. Huge test coming up. They played 2 games in a row against the Celtics. If they grab one of those, I don't know. My bad, guys. I gave you the middle finger by accident. I said if you grab one of those, and I put my finger down. My bad.
Feelings.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that. But if they grab one of those, I'll just put my pointer finger up. That'd be a big statement for them that they're going to win. Yeah. But they'll be rolling a little bit. So we'll see what happens with them. I have them at 26.
All right. Next, 26, I got the Wizards. I think over the next month and a half, they're going to be the worst team in the league. Bradley Beal is dealing with a hamstring injury. He's not back yet. We don't know what's up with him. Kristaps Porzingis recently got hurt on Monday's game with back tightness. Monte Morris, Rui Hachimura are both injured, and 10 of their next 12 games are on the road. Like, really all they have right now is Kyle Kuzma, and I get it, he's playing well, but it's not enough to carry a team, especially with 10 road games coming up. There's just no way they win a majority of those. Yeah, I get it's a top-heavy roster. You have some great players, but zero depth out there, and now you have probably the toughest stretch left on your schedule. I just don't see how in any way they're going to perform well. So I have them 26.
Yeah, just like y'all, I have them at 25 though. When they have had that full roster there, they've been a decent team to compete. But like we were saying, a lot of guys are out, and with all the losses that they've been getting, I think they've lost 7 straight, something like that. It's caused, I don't know if y'all saw this, but Kuzma wants out of Washington.
I'm not surprised. I mean, he'd be perfect on
playing that good. I mean, why would you want to be there?
Would you trade Russ for Kuz?
I feel like if he's going back there, I want Kuzma there. Yeah. But I mean, if that's like a situation, he goes there if he gets bought out by Indiana or one of those teams. But
I just think that's the shooting or the offensive power the Lakers need.
Kuz. Maybe if you could get Pat Bev and Nunn for him. I mean, the contracts match a lot better.
Yeah, that's true. I just don't know if the value is there.
No, not at all. The Wizards would be losing the trade once again. So
nothing new.
Yeah, nothing new.
25. I got the Oklahoma City Thunder. If you asked me this a few weeks ago, they'd probably be late teens, probably around 18, 19, but they've fallen back a little bit. They're 11-16, 13th seed in the West. They're on a 3-game losing streak, 4-6 of their last 10. But hey, SGA is that man, averaging 31 points a game, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Hey, and his Robin, Josh Giddey, he's playing pretty well himself. 15 points a game, 8 rebounds, 6 assists. I'm surprised. He's a little light on the assists. I thought he'd be closer to 10 because he's Magic Johnson, but the white version. So I'm surprised he's not doing better there. But that's a strong duo for the future, like I've mentioned with past. ranking so far, like Franz Wagner and Paulo Banchero. That's another duo for the future, but not right now. They rank second to last defensively. That's their big problem, but they rank seventh in points per game, so they score no problem. From 1 to 13, they all can make shots, which was great to see when they played the Celtics. They put us a game. I think we went to overtime and then scratched out a win, or maybe we came back in the fourth quarter. But either way, they can score buckets, led by, of course, SGA. But defensively, they're atrocious. Their only good defenders, Lou Dort, who's like a mini Marcus.
Yep, literally
A mini Marcus Smart who can't shoot as well. So again, if they just get their defense better, they could be a better team for the future. But right now, pure scorers, nothing else. SGA and Giddey, they're the men. But other than that, not too much for the Thunder.
All right, next up, I got the Orlando Magic. You have the rookie of the year in the league. I think so, in Paolo Banchero, averaging 21, 8, and 5. That's just some crazy numbers, especially as a power forward. Franz Wagner is still on your roster. He had 34 points in the last game against the Raptors. So, I mean, those are your two stretch guys right there. And, in my eyes, this is going to be a top 5 team in the league in the next 5 years. But right now, Suggs is out. They have plenty of injuries, and I just don't think they're coached well. So that's why I got them down at 25.
I agree. Their coach is Jaleel Mosley. I think he's a rookie coach. I mean, I guess just bring him up with, the young team. But my number 24 spot, I got OKC. Just a mere kind of what you said, Shea's been an all-star this season. Giddey's played good. Besides that, the record speaks for themselves. They're just a young roster trying to find their way. That's about it.
I can agree with that. At 24, this is where I have the Houston Rockets. They're 9 and 18. So yes, they have a worse record than my previous team, the Thunder, but they're doing much better right now. And since this is power rankings, I thought, the records shouldn't matter as much. Of course they matter, but not as much as really how they're doing as of right now. They're the 15th seed in the West, so the worst team in the West, no question. But they're 6-4 of their last 10, and they beat the Suns twice, who at the time when they were beating them, except last night they were the 4 seed, but the first time they beat them, they were the best team in the West. So that's not just like a little task. They beat the Sixers, who I know are having some injury problems, but their depth is still better than most of the Houston Rockets team. So that's a big win. They also beat the Bucks, which that's no light task either. So, you have to give them some credit for those big 4 wins there, especially 2 against the Suns, swept them so far this season. I give them a lot of credit for that. This team demands Jalen Green to play well, though. They are 8-3 when he scores. I saw this stat yesterday. They are 8-3 when Jalen Green scores 25 points or more. And what did he do? He got 25 points or more last night, and he beat the Suns again. But they are 1-15 when he scores less than that. So this team is Jalen Green's team.
No doubt.
Offensively and defensively. So again, not too much bright spots for this team, but they are beating good teams right now. Let's see if they can keep it up.
Yeah, next up, just like Nick, I got the OKC Thunder. It's just such a good young roster, but now is not their time. You have Australian Magic Johnson with Josh Giddey. You have SGA, who's a top 5 guard. He's just playing out of his mind. I think he's the most improved this year. So I think just defensively is what brings them down. They're not good in really any capacity other than Lou Dort. Offensively, they're pretty good, but not good enough to compete with a lot of the better teams in the league, especially in the long run. So I got them down there.
Yeah, I agree. So for my 23 spot, I got the Bulls. Might be surprising, but they're out of the play-in. They're not playing good, at all really. The depth is not there. A lot of guys have been injured, but the guys that haven't been injured, they have not been playing good. Kobe White and Caruso have been not good at all this season. So I feel like whenever those guys are not doing anything, it's going to be hard to attribute wins, especially whenever they have no sort of – besides Drummond – they have no sort of interior defense. Vucevic has always been a terrible defender. Pat Williams is, he's more of a perimeter guy. But, I just feel like whenever none of those pieces are doing what they're supposed to be, you're going to lose games. And I think it's going to cause them to, trade a lot of their guys during the trade period.
Yeah, I think they're going to be sellers.
Especially, I think they're blowing it. Yeah, they're blowing it up for sure.
At 23, I have the Pacers. They are at 500, 14-14, 8th seed in the East. Like I mentioned with the previous team, they would be higher if you asked me this a couple weeks ago. They would be higher. They'd probably be around 14-15 a couple weeks ago. But They have fallen back down to earth. They've lost their past 2 games, 3-7 of their last 10. After going on a bit of a run a couple weeks into the season, they started really cold, then started to pick it up. Now they're going back to the iceberg land. Like I said, they're not doing great right now. After starting respectable, they've started to go back, like I said, to their iceberg cold ways. Besides B-Math, that's my nickname for him, B-Math, Benedict Mathurin. They don't really have too much. I mean, they have obviously good players, but I think they're going to be sellers as well. Oh, Tyrese Halliburton, I'm sorry. I completely forgot about Tyrese Halliburton. I literally had Reese here, but I did not read his name right there. I completely forgot. Besides B-Math and Reese, they don't got too much going for them. I think they're going to try to sell Miles Turner at the deadline, but they probably won't. They probably won't because that keeps being a rumor. It's like Bradley Beal. You hear the rumor, but then it never happens. So we'll see what happens there. They get blown out a lot, but they also stay in some games. I don't know. They're at 500. They've kind of fallen down to earth. I don't really have too much else to say. They have 2 good young pieces, but they need to sell off some of those older young pieces that don't really fit their timeline. My apologies for missing Tyrese Halliburton, bro. We're doing this on Zoom. I'm reading off my little iPad over here, so some names slip the mind.
Don't disrespect my former king, man. All right. Next up is surprising as this may be, and as much as this hurts me to say, I have the Minnesota Timberwolves. They were a team that I thought was going to be top 3 in the West. They had all of the pieces to do it, and they just crumbled. They couldn't get their acts together. Too many clashing personalities, I guess. Karl Anthony Towns didn't like Popeyes, apparently, and he doesn't like Anthony Edwards about it. So Karl Anthony Towns is out now. D'Angelo Russell has stepped up. He's averaging 25 a game as of late. He averaged 20 in the fourth quarter in the last game, or he had 20 in the fourth quarter. Sorry. So yeah, they have some bright spots, but there's just so many clashing personalities here. It's not a well-run team. Give Anthony Edwards a chance. That's his team now. Sorry, Cat. Put a Popeyes in the arena. What can I say?
Yeah. So at my 22, I got the Timberwolves as well. I feel like the injuries has really been the death of them. It kind of hit them earlier on the start, and I'm very surprised of how terrible of a defensive team they are, having Kyle Anderson, Naz Reid, and Gobert. Those are 4 great defensive players that just have not been any sort of factor.
Gobert's fake.
Oh, yeah. But, besides that, they're 4-6 out of their last 10. So, I don't know. Maybe you blow it up, keep Ant, and, just get rid of all those pieces. But that's so much salary to dump.
But then Ant's going to want out, how that thing goes. So they got to be careful with that situation.
Yeah.
At 22, I got the Chicago Bulls. So I've noticed our lists are very similar. Whereas a few spots differently, especially you and Nick Jamie and Nick seem to be agreeing a little bit more than me, but I'm like a few spots differently. But
Great minds think alike.
At 22, this is where I have the Bulls. They're 11-15, 11th seed in the East, 5-5 of their last 10. I'm going to put it simple. No one expected them to be like this. Nick and Jamie already kind of talked about it, but wait, Jamie, you've already said the Bulls, right?
Not yet. I was about to, though.
Okay. I know Nick's already said the Bulls, but Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Patrick Williams, Nikola Vucevic, Kobe White, who should be really good, Alex Caruso, who was a great bench piece, should be a great bench piece, but they're not panning out. Yes, DeMar DeRozan is still the mid-range killer, and Zach LaVine's still making threes, but the team's just not fitting the way they should. Very surprising. If you asked me this, I didn't expect them to be like a top 4 seed, but I was thinking like around 5 or 6 or late
play-in. I think that's right, Adam.
Play-in team at least.
At least a play-in team at the very worst. But no, they are a lot worse than that. The 11th seed. I mean, they're one out of the play-in, but still, they shouldn't be there. And it's very funny. They average the same amount of points as they give up. 113.3, me being a little statistics nerd, 113.3 points scored and given up. So if you're doing the same, that's not, a recipe for success if you're just not playing very well on either side of the ball.
Exactly. Just like Alex, next up I got the Bulls, a team that, they shouldn't be where they are. They are much better than, how they're playing. But the reason that they're so bad is because they are the least clutch team in the league. They're 3-10 in clutch games this year, which is games within 5 points in the last 5 minutes of the game. Whereas last year they were 25-16 in the clutch. So literally all of their clutch genes just got wiped this season. We don't know why. I think a good part of it could be the loss of Lonzo Ball. I mean, he was the glue of that team. He was their playmaker, and now without him, you don't really have a fantastic playmaker out there. I know Kobe White should be, but he's just not. It's because he shaved the hair. His hair used to be so cool. But I mean, the Bulls, they are much worse than what they should be. They should be a playoff team, not even a play-in team, playoff team. But they're not even going to make the playoffs now. Play-in. It's just so depressing to see.
I mean, the
I
East
agree.
Right, they could sneak up in there, but
Maybe
They got to
They would need
beat
a
out
real
some
turnaround.
real good teams to do that.
hmm
So next up, I got the Utah Jazz. They have definitely came back to earth. Like, and I mean, I kind of thought they would hit this, bump in the road, and not be a play-in team. And I feel like they're gonna go right outside of the play-in, around 11. I think, they're gonna be a big player this in the trade window as well. You got Clarkson, Rudy Gay, all those guys. You can pick up some picks, and they could also be a big player in the draft this year. With all those picks, they can move up some spots and get Scoot Henderson or just somebody that they're going to need to help this rebuild get going a little bit more.
I can agree with that. At 21, though, I have the Jazz way higher, by the way. But at 21, I have the Timberwolves. 13-14, 11 in the West. We've kind of already talked about it, but this team's just like the Bulls. They're not panning out the way we all thought at the beginning of the season. We were doing our predictions for records. And on paper, Rudy Gobert doesn't really fit their offensive, 3-point scoring efforts with Cat, D'Lo, and Anthony Edwards. But he's supposed to hold down that defensive presence, and their defense is atrocious. They have one of the worst defenses in the league. They rank bottom 5. It's just not they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing now. Like Jamie said, Cat's out for, I think, around a little over a month because he just hurt his calf. But D'Lo's taken over. So it looks like D'Lo's team now, but it should be Anthony Edwards' team. They have a huge identity crisis. They don't know what they're doing. Not the best coaching. I don't know if they should blow it up, though, because it's like you don't want to get rid of such a star.
Not yet.
Not yet. I agree. Not yet. I mean, I wouldn't mind trading Gobert because I just hate him. But when Pat, D'Lo, and Anthony Edwards, I think you got to keep those core 3 together. Rudy Gobert can kick rocks. But the core 3, I just don't think it's time to give up on them yet.
Aggressive. Poor Rudy. All right, next up, I have a team that was at one point the worst in the league. This is a team where their small forward is top 3 all time. He's not number 1. Their best player is a dude who used to have a unibrow, and they have a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle at point guard. It's the Los Angeles Lakers. They're 11-16. At one point, they were the absolute worst team in the league. But right now, Anthony Davis is stepping up. He's playing like an MVP. LeBron James he's not as good as I thought he'd be this year. Thanks in part to AD taking a lot of his stats, but his age is kind of showing a little bit. He played well last game, but it's not the LeBron we're used to. Again, their guard situation is completely messed up. We don't know what's going to happen with Westbrook in the next couple of weeks. Pat Bev. I don't even know what to say about him. You have Nunn, Schroeder, all these guys. This is just not a team I could see contending in the long haul. They're a little older, unless they make some kind of huge trade because of the Lakers, and that's all they do. We'll see. We'll see what happens, but I just don't have really any belief in them right now.
I agree. I got the Miami Heat at 20. They've been very underwhelming. I know this is a little low for them, but they've been like one of the most cold teams in the NBA. Their defense has not been good. They cannot get wins. They cannot get wins away. They're 4-9 away so far. That's one of the worst records away this season.
Only the Warriors.
They're on a 1-game win streak. Yeah, the Warriors are the ones that suffer from that the most. Them and the Raptors. But you have such a big hole at power forward, and you're talking about getting Russell Westbrook. I don't get why they cannot fill the needs that they need to fill and stop worrying about getting star power in there every season. Because that's all they try to do is just add on, these bigger name guys to just be and think that's what's going to win them a title. Because it did, back when it was LeBron, Chris Bosh, and D Wade. But that's a whole different situation right there.
Those are top, including Chris.
Those are 3 top 20 guys of all time.
Top 20.
I mean, Chris Bosh is top 30 at least.
He's teetering.
Yeah. I don't know. He's weird. I don't know. He's top 50. I'll give him that.
Top 50, but I completely agree, though. At 20, this is where I have the Atlanta Hawks. They're 14-14. They're at 500, and they're struggling, but they have the talent. I mean, a few weeks ago, again, they were probably around 14, 15, but they keep falling back. Everyone's hurt right now, besides Trae Young. And Trae Young is shooting, any guesses on what he's shooting from three in the last 7 games?
It's lower than Westbrook. It's 33.
Nope.
Well, that's on the
30.
season, but it's like low.
Guess what he's shooting in the last, so since Thanksgiving, they're 3-7 of their last 10. And in the last 7 games, they've been doing terrible. Guess what his 3-point shooting percentage is?
24.
22.
18.
Oh, my
I was
God.
closer.
The second coming. Imagine supposedly the second coming of Stephen Curry.
Of Steph.
15% from 3. Jamie could shoot better with a broken wrist. I'm sure he shot better.
I was like stroking it the other day. I mean, little pause. But I was like destroying my brother from the 3-point line. That's all.
You were destroying your brother from 3?
Yeah, I was. I was just wet from the 3. So.
Yeah, I mean, Trae Young is just not playing the way he should be. He's not shooting well at all. And this team, they've cooled off due to injuries, arguments with coaches like we talked about earlier in the news segment of the show, and just an overall cold streak for Mr. Ice Trae Young, who's actually cold.
Yep.
Good for them.
All right, next up, I also have the Miami Heat. I saw a little stat the other day. We were talking about it before. The Miami Heat is top 5 in 3-pointers attempted and bottom 10 in 3-pointers made. I thought this team would be top 5 in the East. Max Strus was kind of coming out of his shell. He was playing really well last year. I thought Tyler Hero was going to step up, be an all-star. Kyle Lowry was going to do his thing and flop and make passes and stuff. Jimmy Butler, he's really just carrying the load on this team. He's really won multiple games by himself for this team, especially against the Celtics. Sorry, Alex. That dude hit some of the most insane mid-range shots I have ever seen.
He always against the Celtics.
He's so clutch. I mean, he beat you guys in the Eastern Conference Finals in 2020, and then he goes out there and does it again. He really carries this team in the clutch. He's the reason that this team wins games, and without him, they're just not that great. Bam Adebayo is not, he's going to be an all-star, but he's not as great as I thought he would be. Send him to the Kings, reunite the Kentucky boys.
Yeah. Also, just to add on to that a little bit, I saw a thing. They ran Jimmy and Bam ran a pick and roll for the first time in 2 years. The other night, and they did it twice, and they scored on both possessions. And Heat Twitter was going crazy.
Imagine if
this is Eric Spoelstra's fault.
Yeah. Oh, it has to be, bro. Why are they not running a pick and roll?
Spo's he's a top 6 coach all time.
Oh, I agree, but I don't know
carried
why
by Dwayne Wade.
Do that.
Carried by D Wade.
I don't know.
Not even LeBron. That bottom 5 small forward of all time.
But he I don't know. I mean, he took the team to the finals in the bubble.
Yeah,
I know.
He did play a big part in that.
It was Rachel Nichols.
Anyway, at my 19th spot, I got the Pacers. I've got Halliburton has been really good this season. He's led the team in assists. He's led the league in assists, I think. He's really been the point guard, that people try to call Chris Paul. But, Halliburton, I've really liked his defensive effort, how he's brought the team together and kind of made them all look better. He made Miles Turner look really good, which is great for the Pacers, who are trying to get him and Buddy Hield off the team. But to me, I say keep going with it. I say, you've got your 2 guys, you got Ben and Hallie, but I feel like you probably need one more person to kind of say that you're done with this rebuild. Let's build around it. So I feel like, they're kind of stuck between that. And if you don't want to be stuck between that for the next 5 years, so I say fall back a little bit.
Like the Hornets who were stuck between.
Exactly.
At 19, this is where I have the Raptors. 13-14, 9th seed in the East, 4-6 of their last 10. And they've held their own in Pascal's absence, who returned this past Friday, I believe. Or it was
something like that.
Yeah, last week. I know he came back. Their biggest stat that needs to be discussed is their record, home versus away. At home, they are a great 10-3. But once they get out of the Canadian border and they go through TSA and they get their passports checked and they step on a USA court, they fall apart. They're 3-11 on the road. Second worst road record in the league. The worst is the Warriors. We'll discuss that in a little bit. But yeah, the Raptors are atrocious on the road, out of the Canadian borders, and that needs to be fixed. Because at home, they're the team that we know they can play. Defensively, they are a powerhouse. Offensively, pretty good, but their defense is really what holds that team together. But that all part in the USA, they got to figure out that identity very soon.
All right, next up, just like Alex, I got the Raptors, 13-14. They are a little worse than I thought they'd be going at the beginning of the season. I thought Scotty Barnes had all NBA potential. Definitely not yet. However, OG Anunoby has been their real standout this year. He's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. I think he should personally win it. He's literally carrying the load on defense for the Raptors. But right now, OG Anunoby, Otto Porter Jr., a.k.a. Wilt Chamberlain's grandson, and Precious Achiuwa are all injured. And, with any road games coming up, especially with those three guys out, that really takes off a lot of length from the Raptors rotation. So I just think they're not going to be very good in these next few games.
I agree. At my number 18 spot, just like y'all, I got the Raptors. Not much else to say, but, I feel like it's the trade window opens up. Get some of those guys out of there that are just pure offensive guys. Trade Gary Trent for a defender or something. I feel like he doesn't do nothing but provide shooting. He's a great player, don't get me wrong, but he does not have any sort of defensive effort whatsoever. And Fred VanVleet is too undersized to be guarding the best front court player. It's not going to lead to any sort of success, and there's no time for them to tank because you have Scotty Barnes and Pascal's like exiting his prime a little bit, and that's not a free agency destination whatsoever.
I completely agree with that. I mean, you have time with Scotty Barnes, but especially for Pascal, you're in win now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe
28 years old.
Yeah, maybe they could dump him off. Definitely not an in-season trade I see happen. I feel like that's more of an off-season trade because they're still going to be a playing team, and they're trying to fight for out of the plan. But no, I agree with that. At 18, this is where I have the Lakers.
Okay.
A lot higher than both of you.
Actually, I changed mine up a little bit.
You did?
Yeah.
Nick's crazy, dude.
11-16, the 12th seed in the West. After starting the season 2-10, which was just disgusting, atrocious. Nick was already throwing the white flag saying free Russ. The season was over. And they've won their last 9 out of 15 games, which isn't, amazing by any means, but it's a lot better than how they started. They're 5-5 in their last 10. AD is playing like Pelicans AD. He missed a couple games due to illness, which kind of has thrown this team upside down a little bit. They lost to the Celtics last night, and they've lost a couple games in between there. Like I said, they're 5-5 in their last 10, where before they won like 4 or 5 in a row.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They had really big wins before that.
They had some really big wins against some good teams, and the AD got sick, and it's kind of spiraled a little bit. Hopefully they get back on course. But, hey, who knows? Russ could be out the door in 48 hours. He could be on a jet to Miami. Nick is praying for that.
I hope he don't go to Miami. Let's hope he's moving out of the bio.
Mm-hmm.
Bayou down in
Voodoo Westbrook.
Yeah, Voodoo Westbrook. Yeah, the two best Jordan athletes on the same team. No, wait, Luka, my bad, and Tatum. Westbrook's top 5 still though.
Tatum's bottom 10. But.
We're going to see what happens on that standpoint though. But yeah, I have the Lakers at 18.
All right, at 18, I have the Indiana Pacers, 14-14, but they've lost 6 of their last 8. Light-skinned Halliburton, light-skinned Magic Johnson, sorry. I mean, he's carried the Pacers extremely hard. It's very astonishing to see what he's done. He's kind of he's playing a style of basketball that we haven't seen in decades. The Jason Kidd type basketball, the Steve Nash type basketball, guys who could score and pass at the same time. We haven't seen that since Chris Paul back in Los Angeles. So I think Tyrese Halliburton, although he's an all-star, this team itself is just not very good. They've, again, lost 6 of their last 8, and now their next month of basketball includes games against the Warriors, Celtics, the Cavs twice, the Clippers, and the Pelicans. I just don't see how they're going to do well over the next month or so.
The Warriors game home or away?
I don't know, but if it's home,
if it's away, the Pacers probably got that.
If it's home, they're screwed.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yep. At 17, I have the Golden State Warriors. Nah, I'm just playing. I got the Lakers right here. Anything lower than this would have been, crazy. But I mean, I've been liking how things have been, looking. It's getting way up. They look like a competitive team whenever Pat Bev is off the court, which is crazy. You would have thought that whenever he's on the court, they would be better. But I mean, Westbrook has like I was saying, I've watched him for all these years. This is one of the best defensive seasons I've ever seen him have. Like, he put all of his energy into facilitating and stealing the ball, blocking the ball, just being a pure defensive presence off the bench. And it's led to some really good clutch moments from him. He was the only person that made a field goal in OT once again. He also had 15 points in the last 6 minutes of the game. I mean, that's just crazy. Nobody else could get anything going in the clutch per usual. But that's enough on that. But, AD, he's been looking really good. LeBron, he's been looking all right. But he's just, like you were saying, age is kind of catching up to him a little bit, but 38 years old, putting up 26 points per game is insane. Nobody has been able to do that at that age,
Definitely.
Very impressive.
It is very impressive. At 17, I got the Utah Jazz. Like Nick said earlier, they've fallen back down to planet Earth a good bit, but they still are over 500. They're 16-14, 8th seed in the West, an extremely hot start, like I said, that surprised most. Not me. I thought they were still going to be doing pretty well, but it surprised most people, the 99%. But, you got to be part of that 1%, man. You got to be part of that 1%. No, but in all seriousness, they've fallen back down to earth, 4-6 in their last 10. Still a top offensive team, ranked 5th in points per game, but their defense has been the issue. The Jazz have slid from the 8th best defense in the league to the 24th defense in the league. So that's really what their issue is on the defensive side of the ball. They got to figure that out if they want to go back to that hot start they started with. And big win over the Pelicans last night, though. I'll give them that because that knocked off the Pelicans from the number 1 spot in my power ranking. So now it's someone else. But they were the number 1 spot as of yesterday. Woke up this morning, saw they got their butt whipped by the Jazz. So it knocked them down a little bit. But yeah, Jazz are doing still well, but obviously not top 5 team level.
Definitely. 17, I also have the Utah Jazz. What we're not talking about is the injury to Colin Sexton, the right hamstring injury strained. But in place of that, Nickeil Alexander-Walker has stepped up, somebody that we didn't really expect to see. He's averaging 17 points a game in the last 4 games on 62% shooting. He's 14 of 24 on threes. That is crazy. And Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I mean, who? That's crazy.
And a great defender, just not a good offensive player.
Yeah, and he's balling. I mean, in the last game against the Pelicans, he had 19 points and 6 assists off the bench against his former team.
Yeah, that's probably why he was so good.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the reasons that they won was because Nickeil Alexander-Walker's been stepping up. So shout out the Jazz. Hopefully they can get it back on track. We'll see what they can do.
Yeah. So I got at number 16, I got the reigning champs, the Golden State Warriors. And I feel like, this should be so surprising. They've been like a very bad team this season, just aside from being at home. Regardless, though, they're just not – they don't have an effort, it seems like. It feels like Stephen Curry and Draymond Green are the only players that go out and put on, a full 100% effort. Jordan Poole has been – I don't know what happened to him this season. I guess not enough females are in the crowd this year. But,
not enough attractive females.
Exactly. Klay Thompson, he's been okay. He's been getting a lot better. But the defense is just not there except for Kuminga and Draymond Green. So, I don't know. I feel like they're kind of any spot from the play-in to the 6th seed, no first seed, no second seed. Nobody wants to face this team. They're still a contender if they're in the play-in.
I agree with that because they're going to beat those play-in teams.
Oh, yeah.
At 16, this is where I have the Miami Heat. 13 and 15, wow. 10th seed in the East. Yeah, it may seem a little high, but the reason why I have them here is because, yes, they started off terribly, but they've won 6 of their last 10. They're climbing their way up back to 500. They're trying. They're only 2 games out. Jimmy missed 7 straight games with an injury, and then he came back, wiped the floor with the Celtics, spat on the Celtics, hit some more clutch shots, and then beat the Celtics. So that was his game back. That was his return. And ever since then, he's been, like we've talked about earlier, he's the heart and soul of this team. When Jimmy's on, they're on, which hasn't really been the whole true story this year. But like I said, they're won 6 out of the last 10. They're climbing their way back up to 500. 27th in points per game is not good enough, though. Besides Jimmy, they got to do better around him and help him out because no one else is really doing their job as they should be. Where'd Tyler Hero go? I guess there's not enough attractive females in the audience either because he's falling apart as well. And then Duncan Robinson, yeah, he got paid a bag and then he just sits on the bench. They got issues in Miami.
Yeah.
That's so sad. He should be somewhere like a key bench player somewhere, and he's just like wasting his time
But
sitting
it's not
down.
his fault. It's his fault though because he's not making shots.
Yeah.
And he's he's one of the worst defenders in the league.
I mean, 2020 Duncan Robinson during that whole playoff series and in the finals was unstoppable from beyond the arc. But now, I don't know. All right, next up, 16. I have the Atlanta Hawks sitting at 14-14. They were higher before everything went down, of course. Trae Young has played absolutely atrocious, like we were talking about earlier. He's just not hitting the three as he should. AJ Griffin, their rookie, has hit 2 buzzer beaters this season. Most recently against the Bulls, that crazy alley oop with like half a second left on the clock. So honestly, if it were not for that, they'd be under 500 right now. But I mean, you still have guys like Trae Young out there. We'll see what John Collins does. I mean, he's always another guy involved in trade rumors. We'll see if he's gone or not. DeJounte Murray's injured, so that's another reason why they're down a little far. But 16, the Atlanta Hawks.
I've got the Mavericks at number 15. Luka, he's been unstoppable, but literally, except for him, the team is just terrible. JaVale McGee has not been the defender that they thought they signed. Christian Wood, he's been okay, 6 Man of the Year candidate, but other than that, nobody's done anything. Dinwiddie's been okay, but I just don't see this team being any sort of scary to anybody like how they were last year. I don't think anybody's going to fear them at all. They might even get beat in the play-in.
I completely agree. That's why I also have them. I also have the Mavericks cracking the top 15 at 15. This team revolves around Luka, of course. Again, like Nick said, he has good teammates around him like Wood, Dinwiddie, Hardaway Jr., and Finney Smith. But when they're not on, that team just falls apart because Luka averaged 36 points a game. But if you're only scoring 36 points a game, you're not going to win games.
No.
They're the 9th seed in the West. So they're in the play-in, and they'll be a play-in team. But I don't know how scary they are after Luka Doncic.
Agreed.
Yeah, I was going to have the Mavericks right along with you, but I think I'm going to have the Knicks at 15 instead. This is a very hot team. They've been really killing it as of late. They beat my Kings, which is a little unfortunate, but, got to give props where props is due. The Knicks are kind of ball on. They've completely turned it around from the beginning of the season. But again, this is a team that can definitely get into some slumps, as we've seen in the previous few years. So we'll see what they can offer. They're 14-13 right now. It's not the best record ever, but still good enough for a top 15 spot. So, yeah, shout out New York.
I have the Atlanta Hawks at number 14, kind of just like what y'all were saying. Injuries have, held them back, and then to add on to that, the McMillan situation. But I feel like whenever everybody's back, the team's going to, get back together. They're going to still continue to dominate and be a top 6 seed in the East.
At 14, that's where I got the New York Knicks, 14-13, very similar ranking to Jamie. 6th seed in the East. They've won 4 in a row. 2 of those being against top teams, the Cavs, and yeah, I'm calling the Kings a top team. They beat the Kings as well. Sorry, Jamie. And they are 6-4 on their last 10. They have stepped up defensively of late. They ranked 11th. They're ranked 11th in defensive rating, which is not amazing, but for the Knicks, that's really, really good. They're top 15 defensively on the good half of 15. I mean, I can't complain about that. Offensively, they sit in the middle of the pack as well. And, they're holding their own. Can't really complain. Their biggest factor that when I was looking at the stats is they are ranked second in second chance points when Julius Randle is rebounding the ball. He's 3rd in that category. So, hey, let's keep Randle on the floor all 48 minutes. Get those second chance points. They may not lose another game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, 14, I have the Dallas Mavericks, just one off from the other guys, not anything crazy different. This team is just not very well built. Luka really has no help outside of the Dinwiddie and Christian Wood. Sorry, I forgot his name. I think he should be starting. I get he's your bench point guy, but
that should be Dinwiddie.
That should be Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie should be on the bench. Dinwiddie last year was on the bench when Brunson started, and Dinwiddie was insane. And now he's starting, not doing as well. Wood's off the bench. He should be starting because JaVale McGee is not a starting center anymore. But Luka Doncic, again, he's top 2, maybe number 1 in MVP right now. I have him at number 1. Last game, he had 38 and 11 on the Thunder. So he's just one of the most special players we've ever seen, but the team around him is just not it. So get that man some help.
Yep. I have the Knicks, just like y'all, but at number 13, the big three has been stepping up. RJ Barrett, thankfully, he's been looking a lot better. He's one of my favorite players in the league, so it made me, kind of worried a little bit whenever he was shooting such a terrible percentage for three and just not looking good. But, it's free Cam. Until they get Cam some minutes or get him out of there, I'm praying on their downfall.
Definitely.
It's such a sad situation with him.
Yeah.
I feel like he could be so good, but we'll never know.
I agree.
He's been done dirty so many times. It's so hard to see.
A team like, Memphis would be very beneficial for him. That's kind of what they need is a spot up guy at the three. I mean, Dylan Brooks is good at that, but he's like 28 years old. Cam's 22.
And Brooks is going to get a bag by another team, and it's not going to be Memphis. They're not going to be able to pay him because they're going to want to pay Ja. They also have the big
Jaren.
So I think Cam Reddish might be a good fit for them, but we'll see what happens there. At 13,
I love him on the Kings. I'm sorry, I love him on the Kings. That's all I'm gonna say.
No, he'd be a good fit for y'all.
Backup small forward, heck yeah.
Actually play.
Definitely.
At 13, this is where I have the Portland Trail Blazers, which was surprising. I mean, I thought they were still going to be a playoff team, which they are, the fifth seed in the West. But I remember we were talking back at our first show, when we did like our rankings of records and stuff. I think both of y'all had them like not even in the play-in, or maybe just scratching the play-in. I forget.
I didn't have them in the play-in.
You had them really bad.
Either.
I'm like, no way. When you got Dame, Jeremy Grant, Nurkic. This was before we knew Anthony Simons was going to pop off like he has, but he's been the star of this team. They're 5-5 in their last 10. This team is usually built just like their history. They've always been built to be like a very good roster, especially since Dame has been there. They've always been like a playoff team, or I guess if you go to the past, they would have been a play-in team. I mean, nothing really new. They're going to be a playoff team. Now that CJ's gone, like completely for a whole season, Anthony Simons is that man, and I'm happy for him. I'm glad he's scoring. I don't know. We'll see what happens with this team. They're not going to, win probably a playoff round, but they're the fifth seed, and they're probably going to do pretty well.
All right, next up, I have the Portland Trail Blazers. Damian Lillard in his last 3 games has scored 40, 36, and 38. So it's safe to say that he's back. Anthony Simons is still out there getting buckets. That's his right-hand man. You have Jeremy Grant out there who's killing it. But defensively, I don't think this is the greatest team ever, especially in the long run. I don't know how they're going to hold up. I don't know if they're going to hold up that 5th seed in the West standing. I just don't think the depth is as good as a lot of the teams ahead of them or even behind them. So we'll see what they can do. I'm a big Portland Trailblazer supporter. I mean, I have the Dame Lillard jersey right back there. So we'll see what they can do. They're number 13 for me. I just don't think they're as good as the teams ahead of them.
I agree. To add on to y'all, I got the Trailblazers right at 12 also. I feel like they're going to come back to earth a little bit too. I feel like they're going to be a playing team. I think there's no chance that they're a legitimate top 8 seed. I just don't see it happening. Unless Anthony Simons and Damian Lillard can go out there and put up 25 each and Jeremy Grant put up 20 and have 3 steals and 2 blocks. I just don't know if it's going to work out. The defense has been okay, but I don't know if they're going to be able to, sustain this past All-Star break. I feel like that's when they're going to fall apart. All these – that's just how the Blazers always have been. They always start off amazing, and then near the end of the season they fall off.
But they still always make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I got them a playing team. I still think they're going to fall down, but I might be wrong.
We shall see. At 12, this is where I have the Clippers. You asked me this last week, they would have been around 18, 19, 20, but they've boosted their way up now that Kawhi is back. Beat the Celtics. They only let the Celtics score 93 points, and the Celtics have the best offense in NBA history. I'm going to say it again. Statistically, they have the best offense in NBA history. So if you're holding them to only 93 points, I got to give you big kudos. That's wicked awesome. My bad. Boston word. My bad. I said the worst word possible, wicked. My bad. My Boston came out. No, but seriously, 16-13, 16 in the West, 5-5 of their last 10. But the point is, 2 days ago, like I said, 18, 19, 20. They've jumped all the way to 12 in my power rankings. I'm happy for this team. Kawhi's back. He killed the Celtics. Their defense looked great against the Celtics. Let's see if they can keep it up. And climb up not just the power rankings, but the actual standings because they're at the 6th seed right now. And the West is so close, they can do it.
Yeah, exactly. At number 12, though, I have the Golden State Warriors. They're sitting at 14-14 right now, just right in the middle of the pack. They're a lot better than their record says. I mean, this is a team that always manages to turn it around at some point. Their road record is not good at really any point, but their home record is it's insane. So I think at some point they'll turn it around. Steph Curry just showed why he's Jason Tatum's father once again. Beat him in the finals, beat him again this season. So I think the Warriors will turn it around at some point, but for right now, I think 12 is a safe spot.
I have the Los Angeles Clippers at number 11. Kind of just to add on, Kawhi's been back and they've been looking a little bit better. The defense has always been, one of their pluses. I just don't think that the team's going to be anything because they never have enough games under their belt to be a contender or a legitimate team. You got to play at least 50 games as a team to be able to, be a contender. Like, I don't think we've ever seen a team in NBA history that's had both their two guys in and out of the roster and then, win a title.
That's a good point.
I don't think it's going to happen.
That's a very good point. At 11, this is where I have the Warriors. Now, they are the worst team that is so high up record-wise, but like was just mentioned, they're not as bad as their record is. They're 14-14, yes, 10th seed in the West, 6-4 their last 10, so they're getting a little better. They own the Celtics. Yeah, I'll say it. They own the Celtics. They made Jason Tatum make him look like he was like playing like Stevie Wonder on the court. Like he was just bricking everything. He was building multi-billion, not million, billion-dollar houses out there. He was doing it all for Bob the Builder, but not for the Celtics. He needs to do better. He had a great performance last night, but we're not talking about the Celtics. We're talking about the Warriors. They're 12-2 at home, but on the road, flip that upside down. They're 2-12 on the road. They lost last night in Milwaukee, giving them the worst road record in the league. That needs to be fixed right away if you have any chance of winning anything. But they're always going to be, even if they make the play as a 10 seed, they're still going to be feared upon because it's the Warriors, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond, Jordan Poole, who's had his issues, but it's still Jordan Poole. He's a bucket. So they're climbing. They just got to do better on the road.
All right, next up, I have the Los Angeles Clippers, the better team in Los Angeles. Kawhi Leonard is finally back. It feels like it's been forever since that man's actually played, but now him and Paul George are really showing off what they're about. Tyronn Lue has turned a corner coaching-wise. He's really gotten everybody under control. Their only injury right now is Norman Powell, who's dealing with a groin injury, so nothing really, to talk about. I mean, he's a good role player, but when you have Kawhi and Paul George, why does it matter? So they're sitting I have them at 11 right now, but that's not to say that they can go much higher. They're 16-13 right now, one of the better teams in the West, but they're a relatively old team, not a lot of youth over there. We'll see how their depth can go. And again, this is a very injury-riddled team. We don't know how Kawhi will hold up. Paul George has always dealt with injuries, so hopefully they can stay healthy. They, just blew out the Celtics. I mean, just blew their brakes off. So, again, we'll see how they could do. If they can stay healthy, they're definitely one of the top teams.
Number 10, I got the Sacramento Kings. What a turnaround it's been. Like, from the worst team basically in the league for the last 15 years to now, a top 10 team in the NBA now we're talking about. It's been such a rise, from nothing to being good now. I feel like they've finally got some, management in there that wants to, make Sacramento a team that is going to win, basketball games. De'Aaron Fox has looked really good, like, a top 6 point guard in the league for sure. And also Harrison Barnes does not look like he's just standing on the court anymore. He's actually playing some defense, doing the things that he's supposed to do, like, going out after the extra rebounds, just playing a role, being a role player that he needs to be.
At number 10, this is where I have the Phoenix Suns. Like I've said a few times, if you've asked me this last week, or not even last week, a couple of weeks ago, they would have been around top 3, top 4. Maybe closing in on 1. No, not one. Top 3. I'll leave it at that. But no, they're 10 right now, 16-12. Yeah, their record is pretty good. 4th seed in the West. A few weeks ago, if not last week, they were the 1st seed in the West. 4-6 of their last 10. But the worst of it all, they've lost 5 games in a row. 5. Mavs, Celtics, the damn Rockets, and then twice against the Pelicans. That was some good matchups there against the Pelicans. They've lost all 5.
So happy the Pels beat them.
Me too.
Definitely.
They lost all 5 of those in a row. Dallas, Boston, and Rockets were blowouts. The Pelicans games were both close, but the Pelicans came out on top. Especially the first one was a lot closer than the second one. But I don't know what's going on in Phoenix. Yes, Chris Paul just returned from injury, but he hasn't really been a
point fraud.
Point fraud. I was just about to say he has not been the point god. Devin Booker has been killing it all year, but now he's out with an injury, I believe. So they're not really playing together that much, D-Book and Chris Paul. So this team is not really doing too well chemistry-wise. Jay Crowder, he's been on the trade block since the season opened up 1 minute in because he hasn't even played a game. He wants out of there. DeAndre Ayton is only there because they match his contract. He doesn't want to be there. He'd be in Indiana right now, which actually would have been a perfect fit for them, but that's a different story. But yeah, this team's not looking very hot right now. They need to turn this around, or Monty is going to get the hot seat, and some good pieces are going to be moved probably.
I mean, definitely. I also have the Phoenix Suns up next. This team is on one of the worst cold streaks that I've seen in a minute. They've lost 5 straight, and they've lost 6 of 7. So, I mean, when you lose to the Rockets by that much, I can't really put you as high as they should be. So, like we said, Chris Paul, we thought he was back. He had 24 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists against New Orleans. But then right after, Devin Booker, he gets hurt. He's out for the next 2 games with some hamstring tightness, which is an injury that kind of loomed him in last year's playoffs. So we'll see how he can come back from that. Again, the Phoenix Suns, they should be honestly in the top 5. But with how cold they've been and, the teams that they've lost to, margins-wise too, I just can't have them that high right now.
I agree. Completely agree.
I have them at 9, the Phoenix Suns. I mean, and it's just kind of because D-Book and DeAndre Ayton is like, mini Shaq and Kobe. But they just have been very mid this season, no chemistry whatsoever. They're on a 5-game losing streak, like we said. And, I mean, I just feel like, it's time to just get some of those guys out of there. Mikal Bridges – Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, that's your big 3. Build around them. Chris Paul, no other team he's kind of one of those guys. No other team in the league is going to want him just because he's so old and he's on like a $40 million deal. And everybody has a starting point guard, so I don't know who's going to want him on their team. But, I mean, I don't know. They're just in such a weird spot. I couldn't have them any higher than this.
Wizards.
No.
Or how about a flip of Russ and Chris Paul? So that's the only money that works. Like if you want to do like exact money, basically.
I guess. But Russell Westbrook can.
I don't think the Suns do that.
He's a very unselfish player, but him and D-Book have very big personalities, so I don't know how that would work out.
I don't think the Suns do it just because of what Chris Paul's done for the Suns. He's a veteran presence. He's like a father figure pretty much to a lot of those guys. So just based off of a locker room presence, I don't think the Suns would do that.
I agree.
Even though Westbrook's probably better.
Yeah.
At 9, this is where I have Light That Beam, the Sacramento Kings. They're in the top 10 in my power rankings, which you asked me this 2 months ago, 2 years ago, I would have been, nope, but they're here. They're number 9, 14-12, 7th seed in the West. They are struggling a little bit right now, so don't get me wrong. They started off the season atrocious. I was like, Jamie, I was right. You were wrong. And then that kind of kaput everywhere. And they did a lot better. But now they're cooling off a little bit, 4-6 of their last 10. They've won 11 of their last 16 games, though, so that's where the Jamie happiness comes in. And they've completely turned their year around. Again, like I said, from the beginning of the season, and this all starts with Fox and Mike Brown. Great coaching, great star player that runs that offense, runs that team in general, with great role players around them. I mean, this team is built perfectly. They just gotta. I think their problem is they just have to play some more games together because this team is from 1 to 13 is built great. I can't really knock it. They just haven't really played a lot of games together. They're only 25-ish games in. So they just got to keep playing, and I think they'll compound some more wins. And they're having a little cold streak right now. It happens. No big deal. But this team
happens with everybody.
This team is their biggest thing is they're 6th in pace. They outrun everyone, starting with Swiper, the fastest player in the league. He used to be John Wall, but then, he's disappeared. But that's Fox now, the fastest player in the league. So, keep running that ball up down the court. They were killing the Lakers. I was watching that game. the old people can't keep up with the Kings. That's going to be their big ticket. Keep it rolling.
I mean, yeah, I'll get to the Kings in a sec, but next up I have the Brooklyn Nets. This is a little weird to hear. They're 17-12 right now. They're absolutely killing it. However, they've won 8 of their past 9, but a lot of those games have been home games, and nearly all of them have been against teams with
that are bad,
either bad or very injury riddled.
Yeah.
So they've kind of had a bit of a cakewalk schedule over the last month or so. So yeah, KD's playing like an MVP, but he's not necessarily playing the best talent right now. So we'll see if they can maintain that. There's a lot of personalities conflicting on this team, so this is a team that could literally implode at any minute, which is why I don't have them above a team like Sacramento, just because Sacramento's a very family-like team. This is a team with too many personalities, not a ton of depth, and a team that can, much like the other team in New York, can just slump at any second. So give me the Nets.
They're a volcano.
Exactly.
I also have the Nets, but I have them at 8. They, like you were saying, they have not had any true wins, in their last couple games, But, I mean, I guess it's okay to say, we've gotten some games won. But still, regardless, it's not going to do anything for the team because they're in such a, weird spot to where literally every bench player has no trust for Kevin Durant anymore just because he's been throwing shade about them on, to the media. So I don't know. It's a very weird team with no chemistry whatsoever and just a bunch of top-heavy talent that should be good but is not as good as they should be. But one positive thing, which I've really liked, because I used to like Edmund Sumner a little bit, he's been getting a lot of playing time. He's averaging right around 14 points per game, and he scored 21 against the Pacers 2 nights ago or something like that. But he had 21 versus the whole team.
That was the night KD, Ben, Kyrie, Royce O'Neal, everyone was out.
Yeah.
At 8, I got the 76ers, Nick. This is where I have your 76ers. 15-12, 5th seed in the East, 6-4 their last 10 games. They have struggled a bit on the road. They're 5-7 away from Philadelphia. And when Embiid is not on the floor, they seem to not have a super strong flow of offensively. Embiid obviously holds down that team. And when Embiid's off the floor, they kind of struggle a little bit. Obviously, they have good players, but with Maxey out as well, they really don't have much to go to except Tobias. Yeah. Not really going to run an offense. With that said,
no, not at all.
Are like Maxey, like I said, being hurt. Harden just returning after missing 14 games. They're in a little bit of a funny spot where they haven't really played a lot of games together. Maxey's still out. Harden's just coming back. We'll see how he does. But they're hovering around a 500 record. At least they are above 500, though. And they're doing pretty well. They're keeping afloat while they're having some injury issues.
Yeah.
All right, next up, I have the Sacramento Kings. Light the beam. If you would have asked me this about 2 days ago, this would have been the Sixers, but they took the beam off the top of our stadium and beat the Kings over the head with it. So it is what it is. The Kings, I have at 8. This is one of the best offenses in basketball, if you ask me. It's just the pace it's all there. As much as you guys really, it's going to be weird to hear, but this offense runs through Domantas Sabonis. The way he sets screens, the way he rolls, the way he pops, the way he passes as a big man. He passes the way really only Nikola Jokic could do. The way he plays under the rim. Mike Brown has specifically set up this offense to run through Domantas Sabonis, and guys like De'Aaron Fox, Kevin Huerter, and Malik Monk are greatly benefiting off of that. I think hiring Mike Brown has been the best thing the Kings have done since drafting De'Aaron Fox, really. It's just such a good offensive roster all around. You have 2 all-star guys in Fox and Sabonis. You have, in my eyes, the 6th man of the year in Malik Monk. He's going insane as of late. The other night he scored 35 off the bench. There's so much that he could do for this team. And then you have your shooter in Kevin Huerter, who he's one of the best in the league. He's kind of streaky, though. He's either really hot or really cold. And then you have Davion Mitchell, your backup point guard, your lockdown defender. But, Davion's really your only defender on the team. We're not a great defensive team whatsoever. So I think if we could trade for a guy at the deadline, maybe trade a guy like Harrison Barnes for a solid defender, I feel like the Kings would really benefit off of that in the long run.
My number 7 spot, we're at 7, right?
Yeah.
I got my Sixers. We're getting our guys back. Harden just got back, but in the last 3 games, he's averaging 13.5 assists, 13.7 actually. So, I mean, he's playing the role that I want him to play. I think he needs to get around 18 points per game and like a very high number of assists. It's Joel and Maxey are our scorers. Maxey is one of, if not top 6 shooting guards in the league, or point guard. They've them two switch between that. But, he's just such a good scorer that gets held back a lot because Harden, he tries to be a little vintage, force a lot of ISO basketball. But I just feel like, when he's playing that role and we have, Matisse Thybulle and some of our guys, playing their role, we're one of the best teams in the league as well. And kind of like what we were saying about Tobias Harris, he's another guy I want off the team. He's an okay guy. He's a mid shooter, very, very mid defender. But I feel like we could have a lot better. I would rather have Cam Reddish and Fournier, honestly, and a pick. I would do that every day of the week. Cam Reddish is 23 years old. We could develop him into a better Matisse Thybulle. So,
a shooting Matisse Thybulle.
Yeah.
My number 7, this is where I have the Brooklyn Nets. They have deserved every penny of this 7th spot. 17-12, 4th seed in the East. After starting the season 11-11, firing coach Steve Nash around 2 weeks into the season, and just, having Kyrie Irving on the roster in general, they've seemed to battle back from all of this. You'd think they just fall off the map. Nope, they fought their way back. won 8 out of their past 10 games. Yes, some of them have been cakewalks, but it's the NBA. You can lose on any given night. I'm not a big fan of using that as an excuse. They're winning games. That's all that matters. Like I said, I don't really think just winning cakewalk games should be like a knock on them. They're winning games because, sometimes like the Celtics beginning of last year, they were losing cakewalk games. So you got to give them credit for that. And they're, like they said, they're starting to turn into that powerhouse offense that we thought they could be. Let's just see if they keep it up and if Kyrie and everyone else could stay out of bad light.
All right, sorry. Next up, I blanked. Next up, I have the Sixers. Again, like I said a few days ago, they would have been under the Kings. Now they're over. Joel Embiid is playing like a menace to society. He's averaging 40.7 points on 65.7% shooting in the last 3 wins for Philadelphia. So if Philly wants to win games, you got to run that through Embiid, and he's easily dominant enough to do that. Eventually, Tyrese Maxey will be back. This team's going to be healthy, and this team's going to probably be a contender in the East. I think they could probably contend with the Celtics, who are a team that is not necessarily the greatest under the basket. Contend with other teams like the Cavs and the Bucks. So right now I have them there, but once they get healthy and they get dominant, watch out.
Boo. Wait for Rob and see if you say that again.
Number 6, I got the Denver Nuggets. I'm not a big fan of the Nuggets, but I got to give them their respect. Murray's looked very good. My personal favorite player on the Nuggets. But Jokic, he's looked a little ineffective this season compared to last year. But regardless, still leading to wins. A way better season this season. 3rd in the Western Conference right now. So, nevertheless, they're a really good-looking team right now, especially their offense.
At my 6, this is where I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. They've fallen back a little bit. They're still doing well. They're the 3rd seed in the East. After starting off the season red hot, best team in the league. Like I said, they've fallen back a tad, 5-5 of their last 10. Mitchell has missed some time with injuries. Most of their wins have been at home, 12-2 at home. They have played, 5-9 on the road, which any true contending team, if you have a losing record on the road, you're not a true contending team. Your record can say whatever you want, but hey, you got to win on the road because you're going to be doing that a lot in the playoffs. And the thing with this team is they can be shooting red hot one quarter, light switch, miss every shot the next quarter, and that has been their downfall in the games they've lost. So they just got to fix that. All the pieces are there. I have them winning the championship. I have them built for the championship. They could win like 3 in a row and give them a couple years. That's the talent they have. That's what they're built for. They could be the next repeat team. Not even the Celtics, this team, because 1-5 in their starting lineup is like potential superstardom besides Donovan, who's already there. So I'm excited for this roster, but I have them at 6.
Yeah.
All right, next up, I have the Denver Nuggets. Jamal Murray, when healthy, him and Jokic are basically unstoppable. They're both insane together. Jamal Murray, as we all saw, kind of one-up Damian Lillard on that little buzzer beater that he had. Damian Lillard literally was going Dame time. Jamal Murray comes back and hits a three right on top of him.
Humbled him.
Next night, Jokic goes and for a triple double. However, Denver's defense is one of the worst in the league. They're allowing 114.6 points per 100 possessions, which is 26th in the league. So if they can get that defense a little better, they're definitely one of the top teams in the West. But as of right now, that defense is just not going to cut it.
I agree. I have the Memphis Grizzlies at number 5. Since Jaren Jackson came back, I thought, this is not a good idea for them to rush him back, but he's looked almost as good as he was last year as far as on defense. He's put himself right in there on that DPOY ladder, and I think that he's only going to continue to keep climbing. I think once Bane comes back, that'll be, one of the top 3 teams that nobody wants to see.
I agree, because he was averaging 20-something points a game before he went out.
I mean, they have probably the 3rd best big 3 in the league.
I agree. At 5, this is where I have the Denver Nuggets, so a little higher than both. You guys already said the Nuggets, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so a little higher than both of you guys. They're 16-10, 3rd seed in the West. The Nuggets have won 6 of their last 10 games. They started off the season not as strong as most thought due to Jokic, like Nick said, kind of having a little bit of a down year. Still amazing, but it's not quite MVP level. And then also Murray, he started off very slow, didn't start off the season great, but he's been killing it. He scored 30 points, 13 for 19 from the field a few nights ago, his best scoring game so far this season. And they haven't, they started to shoot the ball more efficiently, 50% in the last 2 weeks. That's crazy. 50% from the field in the last 2 weeks is unheard of. So they're officially starting to come into form, and I have them at 5.
All right, at 5, this is where I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. Again, one of the most hot teams in the league when we first started. However, they've chilled out a little bit now. They're 17-11. Over the last 3 games, or last week, Karis LeVert has kind of stepped up, averaging 22.3 points on 48.2% shooting. Those games against Sacramento, which they lost, Oklahoma City, and San Antonio. So, again, this is a very good team. However, it's a very streaky team. They've been swept by Sacramento this year. They've beaten a lot of good teams, but they've also lost to some pretty bad teams. So, hopefully, I think they're definitely one of the better teams in the league, though.
Number 4, I have the Cavaliers. Like we've been saying, just 1 through 5 is just – they have, some of the best two-way talent in the league. You know what I'm saying? Just offensively and defensively, all of them can get it done. Darius Garland is probably the worst defender, but Donovan Mitchell makes up with effort, getting steals, all that. He's just one of the best in the league at doing that, not just the Cavs alone. But yeah, I agree.
At number 4, this is where I have the Memphis Grizzlies, 18-9, 2nd seed in the West. They're 8-2 of their last 10 games, 6-game winning streak. I believe they hold the longest active winning streak in the NBA. I noticed that this is their 2nd straight season. They have started off this season subpar defensively, and for the 2nd straight season, they've recovered quickly. That's all because of Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. He's come back. Again, I agree with Nick. I thought they rushed him back a little bit. I know we talked about this probably a month ago on one of the podcasts.
Yeah.
Rushing him back. They don't want to do that. I mean, I guess they didn't rush him back because he's playing DPOY level defense. He's holding that defensive front when they were struggling earlier in this season. When he came back, flipped the switch. Defense is on great. Offensively, they got Ja Morant. What else do I got to say? When Bane comes back, they'll be even better. They could honestly take over that 1 seed once Bane comes back.
I think so.
Keep climbing up that leaderboard.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
All right, next up.
I think they're better than the Pelicans when Bane comes back.
Yeah, I mean that's so tough. I mean, the Pelicans are so good, just top to bottom. They have some of the best talent in the league.
I don't know. Bane's really good. He's an all-star when he plays, but I don't think the better
that. Who's averaging 22 points a game like that on the Pelicans?
BI.
McCollum
Zion's
really
at 24, BI's at 22, and then CJ's at 19-ish.
The The thing that differentiates the two is the Pelicans have a way deeper roster, so I don't think they need guys to go out and average 25, 22, 22, 20. They could just have a bunch of dudes score 20 flat, and they'll be perfectly fine. So I think that's what differentiates them, which is why I have the Grizzlies next up at 4. I'm reading here via ESPN that the Grizzlies consider Tyus Jones to be the best backup point guard in the NBA. I don't know how I feel about that. Huh?
You know who is?
Malcolm Brogdon. Yo, Malcolm Brogdon's better than Russ.
Davion Mitchell.
Who's in 6 man? Who's the leading in 6 man of the year? I mean, that's whatever. Nah. We're not even talking about that right now. So we can
Back to it. The Grizzlies look very, very good, especially when they're healthy. Get Bane back, they're a top 5 team in the league. Right now, they're still a top 5 team in the league, sitting at 18-9. Ja Morant is playing at a All-NBA level. He's probably going to be All-NBA second team. He's been unstoppable since he came into the league. Really, everybody on that team plays very well. They surround Ja Morant perfectly. This is a very well-built roster, well-coached. Not really any complaints.
Going into the top 3.
Top 3.
And at my number 3, I have the Milwaukee Bucks. You know, they really are the best two-way team in the league. You know, they have probably the best defender. I feel like we can say Giannis, the best defender in the league. One of, if not the best one of. And also, still the best player in the league. And they're getting their guys back. I feel like the shooting is still there to an extent, but I feel like there's just some guys that need to have their roles filled a little bit. I feel like I think George Hill is a backup point guard. No, they got to get somebody else in there. He's too old to be doing that, I feel like you just need somebody there. So I feel like there's some better options, and that's about all they need.
I agree. I also have the Milwaukee Bucks at 3, 20-7, second seed in the East. This team just got K-Mid back, Chris Middleton, but he just got hurt again, so that doesn't help him. But it doesn't look like they're missing a beat with or without him because, again, they were still one of the best teams in the league for the first month and a half of the season when he wasn't there. Comes back for a week, gets hurt again. I'm not sure how long he's going to be out now, but, again, with or without him, they've been doing really well. But, of course, why wouldn't you want Chris Middleton to be the best shooter? Because without him, they struggle shooting the 3. When he's there, obviously he's a sniper. So this team is so well built, no complaints. We're in the top 3, so there's not going to be too much bad stuff to talk about them. If it's anything, they just got to shoot the ball better because Chris Middleton's really all they got from 3. Yeah, Grayson Allen does what he can, but he's more of a surprising, he'll make a random 3-point shot that's super clutch, but then he'll not hit one the rest of the game. So Chris Middleton's their pure 3-point scorer, so that they're going to be.
All right, next up at 3, I don't have the Bucks. I have the New Orleans Pelicans. Top team in the West, they're 18-9, so they have a couple more losses than the next 2 teams. However, they're still the best in the West. You can't knock that. Brandon Ingram, he's been hurt a lot this year. He's set to miss another week for the Pelicans. However, Zion Williamson has made sure that it doesn't matter. They're 7-1 in their last 8 games. Zion is coming off a Western Conference Player of the Week. He's averaging 30 a game with 9.1 rebounds, 5.3 assists, 1.6 steals, and a block per game, while shooting 66.4% from the floor. All in the last month. He's playing like an MVP. We'll see if he can keep it up, especially with Ingram coming back. I don't know how that'll throw it off because at the game we went to when they faced the Hawks, Ingram was probably the worst player on the floor. Yeah. Other than Larry Nance. I don't know why he played. Yeah. But Brandon Ingram was forcing so many contested shots. Larry Nance missed the layup, yeah.
He sold so bad.
So did Brandon Ingram, though. He missed a lot of clutch shots. So we'll see what they could do with Ingram back. I'm sure they'll be fine. But right now, I think there's 2 teams better.
Yeah. And I have the Pelicans at 2. They're my second favorite team in the league. Zion, he's back. He's better than ever. Like we've been saying for the longest, it feels like they just need a playmaker that's going to put them way over the line. Devontae Graham, he was brought in, and for whatever reason, they thought that he was going to be a playmaker, but he's, just an explosive guy off the bench. So I don't get what that signing was for. He's still a great option, but you just need a playmaker in there. Westbrook, just some sort of guy that can facilitate on a high level.
I also have the Pelicans at number 2, 18-9, first seed in the West. They were on a 7-game winning streak. It was the longest active winning streak in the league. That fell apart last night to a tough loss to the Jazz. If the Pelicans won that game last night, they'd undoubtedly be number one in the power rankings, but we know who has that. I'll get there in a second. Because the Pelicans did lose this game last night. They shouldn't have, but they did. 8-2 their last 10 games, and they're firing on every possible cylinder that you can think of. And this is with injuries happening. They've only had Brandon Ingram or CJ McCollum or Herb Jones were out one of those 7 games on that winning streak. So they're figuring out other ways, all running through Zion, of course, who's been relatively healthy. Love to see it. And if Zion's healthy, the sky's the limit for this team.
I am ready for all of the fire that's going to be shot on me because at 2 I have the Boston Celtics.
Get out of here.
So I'm sorry.
That's crazy.
I have a few reasons to believe this. I'm a little bit of a hater.
Yeah.
But it's not for the reasons you think. As of right now, I think the Bucks look a little hotter than the Celtics do. The Celtics, as of late, have lost to the Warriors, the Clippers, and they did everything possible to lose to the Lakers. They did end up coming back, but that's a game that should not have really been close.
I can agree.
That was a game that should have been a blowout against the Lakers, and they were just about this close to losing that. They come back in overtime and win. You guys are getting Robert Williams back. If he would have hit those
free throws.
If he would have. I mean, that's definitely a game you guys should have lost. But you can thank Anthony Davis.
Tatum 40.
So, what?
Tatum had 44.
Yeah, but he can't beat Steph Curry. So that's another game that they lost. You guys are getting Robert Williams back, which is very good. That's your defensive anchor on the floor. So I'm sure you guys will be very good when he comes back defensively. This is basically a team with 0 flaws. You guys do everything on the floor so well. But I think the Bucks just have a little bit more on you. Not by a lot, though. This is a lot closer than you guys think it is.
Number 1.
We both got the Celtics.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously. So, I mean, without Time Lord being there, y'all's defenses still look pretty, above average. I think the offense is, like you were saying, the best in the NBA history. And the Cornet contest, I saw it last night.
Yes,
like I was saying, Russell Westbrook, only person to hit a field goal in OT. He was shooting a 3 in the corner, and Luke was like under the basket. He just put his arms up, and Westbrook hit the side of the rim.
Yeah, right. The Cornet contest.
Yeah, it's actually worked a couple of the times I've seen it. So
I think that's just Westbrook. I don't think that has a lot to do with Cornet.
He was splashing in OT. Not on him.
You got so defensive.
Yeah, I got to, bro. I got to. But it's not about Russ. It's about the Celtics. So I think, just they can continue to improve and prove that they're the best team in the league.
At number 1, I also have the Boston Celtics. Last night, though, when I was making this list, this thing took me 5 hours. This is also one of our if not the longest podcast we've ever done as well.
Probably the longest.
No complaints. But point being, I had the Celtics at 2 last night. I woke up this morning, put on the highlights, saw the Celtics won. Moving back up to 1, 22-7, first seed in the East, best record in the NBA. Yes, they dropped key games to the Warriors. They should have won. That should have been a statement game, but they were too focused on this is the team that beat us in the finals and not focused. Let's just play the game we've been playing the 20-something games before we were winning. So that, the moment got too ahead of them, which is not good. I don't like that, especially if we're trying to win the finals. Big loss to the Clippers, but I'm honestly happy for the Clippers in this one because it's like, I just wanted them to kind of turn around. Kawhi played great. We're talking about the Celtics here. But, yeah, the Celtics dropped that one. Tatum shot, like I said, when we were talking about the Warriors. Tatum's been shooting like he was blind. Stevie Wonder out there against the Warriors and Clippers. Last night turned it around. Super clutch shots. Made LeBron James his son. 44 points. Killed it. Hold on one second, Nick. I just want to finish this real quick. They're 8th in defensive rating. They started off the season terribly in defense. They were really just scoring the ball and hoping the other team didn't catch up to them. But their defense has started to turn the corner a little bit. Rob's not even back, so I'm excited to see what happens when he does come back. First, offensively, of course, this team is killing it. Tatum had a great game last night. I love this team. It's one of my favorite Celtics rosters of all time because they're just so fun to watch, except that Warriors game. I turned it off with like 5 minutes left and just went to sleep because I knew it was going to happen.
Did you – I'm assuming you didn't watch the game last night, but it was like right before OT. Jason Tatum, like he posted LeBron, but the ball went out of the rim. Yeah. So he just got free throws.
I went to bed early last night because I was tired, and I was no way I was staying up till 10:30. Same with the Clippers game.
The game ended at 1, so
just crazy. For Jamie over there, I think starts at 7:30, so that's perfect. But
yeah, that's easy. But going to my number one, I have the Milwaukee Bucks. As much as you guys don't want to hear it, I truly believe it. They're 20-7 right now. The Celtics are 22-7, so they've played in a couple more games. But right now the Bucks, they've won 5 of their last 6. Right now they're on a hotter streak than the Celtics are. They've won a few big games, but they're recently coming off of a blowout win over the Warriors, which is something the Celtics didn't do. And soon enough, they have Joe Ingles coming back, which I think is a very slept-on piece to that Bucks team. He tore his ACL over the summer. He's been playing for the G League a little bit, trying to get warmed up. But this is a team that doesn't have a ton of shooters. You have Grayson Allen, Chris Middleton, of course. But I feel like bringing in Joe Ingles off the bench would greatly benefit guys like Drew Holiday and your other bench guys out there, especially because he's also a veteran presence. He's another veteran presence. So I think, people hear Joe Ingles, oh no, Australian old man. Who cares? He's going to help the Bucks out with what he does. He's a shooter. He's going to be a beast for them. And I think the Bucks, which are a team with finals winning experience, are just better suited for the long haul.
I agree. He hasn't played for a couple years too.
Who?
Ingles. He got traded and then traded back to the Jazz or something.
Yeah.
He hasn't really had consistent PT in a while.
Yeah, but all he needs to do is, pick and pop. That's all he needs to do.
And we just went through all 30 teams.
Yes, we did. That was a very long video, so I would like to send us off with a big old thank you all for tuning in to WVUA 90.7 and the Full Court Press podcast. We will be back next week with our top 15 players under the age of 25. This is Jamie, Nick, and Alex signing out. Peace.
Peace, and you're a real one if you listen to this whole thing.
Real.
Love you. We love you.
WVUA FM, Tuscaloosa.